Well, thank you folks for joining us once again for another video with me. I'm Steve and my wife here, Kim.
Hello.
And we're going to continue on. It's been a little while. We know that since our last video, but we have lives as well. And sometimes things come up and take up your time. You have to address them sooner than later. And so we're back. And we continue to move on here with some more talk about this topic concerning racism in America, and in perhaps some fringe topics that could bleed in as well. Today we're going to continue talking more about Black Lives Matter, which is one of the topics we addressed in our last video. Was Black Lives Matter, and the slogan All Lives Matter as well. And you could have also considered Blue Lives Matter if you want to. We talked about people using those back and forth, kind of hurling back and forth. You see a lot of that on social media. People putting up banners and things of that nature, and they're using those to kind of as a response. We talked about, like, somebody may say Black Lives Matter and someone may respond, well, all lives matter, and so forth. And so that was in our last video. We touched on that. What I want to talk about here today, this is going to be a very sensitive video, more so than the others, because we're going to be looking at some individuals here who are going to strike at your heart. And it should strike at your heart. And if it doesn't strike at your heart, there's something seriously wrong. But when it comes to Black Lives Matter, last time I looked at their website, their goal is what? To promote, the safety of Black lives. You know what? Let me just pull it up real quick here. We'll just get that real quick. And just so people can see, I want to misrepresent anything here. Where are we at here? Where's the what we believe thing? You know what I'm talking about? What's that?
About?
Oh, yeah. That would work for me. So here's kind of, you can see 4 years ago, what is now known as the Black Lives Matter Global Network began to organize. It started out as a chapter-based, member-led organization whose mission was to build local power and to intervene when violence was inflicted on Black communities by the state and vigilantes. Okay, so what do you take away from that? Is that simply a matter addressing police attacks only, or is there something here, would you say, that's in addition to that? It says by the state and vigilantes, right? Which are people who just kind of go after somebody on their own agenda and attack someone, without the law supporting them, which would include murder. Somebody wants vengeance because they've done something they were wrong, or someone didn't pay them money for something, and so they go after the person and attack them. That's vigilante as well. What's interesting, though, is when I look at the media, I have a hard time thinking that Black Lives Matter is actually promoting the protection of Black lives on the basis of vigilante action as well. And the reason why I say that is because, from my perspective, the most often and frequent occurrence, and I could say perhaps the only time I really see Black Lives Matter appear, when I talk about Black Lives Matter, we're talking about the organization, is when there's a police-involved shooting. And especially if the police-involved shooting, I should say, is a white officer shooting a Black individual or a Black male, especially an unarmed Black male. And those incidents are what seem to me the ones that come across largely on the media. They are nationwide news. Their court cases get to be, tracked down, and we're updated constantly on those things. And so the impression I get is that Black Lives Matter seems to be mainly concerned with or when Black lives are lost at the hands of police officers. What do you think? What has your perspective been on that? Do you have a different one, or?
Yeah, probably that, and also people like George Zimmerman and the two guys who killed Ahmaud Arbery.
Oh, yes.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, down in Georgia.
I think when they say vigilante, I think maybe that's what they're talking about. People who say, well, I'm carrying out justice on my own without the help of law enforcement.
And that would be good. And I can agree with that. So yeah, and those are, anytime someone's life is lost, obviously it needs to be looked into, because that's a serious thing when someone dies, especially at the hands of someone else. And so I guess what I want to look at here is what I would say, while I'm totally for anybody who wants to make sure the state or vigilantes are not creating problems, and any problems that are created by them are being addressed properly. I'm definitely for that. It's not a thing of, hey, well, we don't need to pay attention to that. It's more so on the basis of, I would say there are more significant matters, more, if I could use the term, weightier matters. If we could use what the Bible says, that Jesus brings up the idea of weightier matters in Matthew 23:23. There is the idea of things being more serious, requiring more attention than others. And today, one of the things I wanted to look at here up front is, since the time of George Floyd's death, which I believe was May 25th, it was Memorial Day, when he died in Minneapolis at the hands of Derek Chauvin in Minneapolis there, Officer Chauvin. Since that day, there have been a number of deaths in the Black community. And this is not a thing just about Black people. It's just because it's Black Lives Matter. That's why I bring that up. But there have been a number of deaths of just not only Black individuals, but Black minors. Numerous deaths. And we're going to look at some of these today. And I want us to see if these deserve as much protesting and coverage, media coverage, and tracking down, who has done this and finding out. And if they're not getting as much attention, what would be the reason why? And then when I say attention, I'm talking about the attention that Black Lives Matter is giving to other cases. Fair enough?
Yeah. I'm a little anxious. I haven't seen your slides yet, so.
Okay.
We'll see.
Well, let's start off here. In this website y'all see right here on Washington Post, we're going to come back to that, if not in this lesson, and eventually in one upcoming, because this is a very significant database that I think will help out a lot of people to at least kind of help narrow their thinking, their ideas down to more of an accurate idea of what's going on out there. But let's look at this here. As you can see, this PowerPoint slide I made here, we have several of them here, but we're going to see the faces of some children, people. Faces of some children who have lost their lives, through violence by adult men, even. And some of this stuff may make you uneasy. It may make you upset, and it should, because of what happened to these kids. If these things don't upset us, again, as I said earlier, there's something really wrong with us. As I was putting these together, I looked into, you're going to see several stories here that are summarized in my own words. And I had to pull up, in each case, I pulled up multiple local news website articles that address the incident involved to get the details, so I could kind of get a basic good idea of what went on. And it was tough for me. There was times where I had to just kind of take a moment and get away from it, because I was like, I've had enough of seeing this happening. But folks, this is something that is serious and it's real, and we're going to see how how this is in light of what's been going on. And it says on the screen here, it's important to know their names. It's important to see their faces. And absolutely, I agree with this 100%. And wait till you get to my series when I eventually start one on abortion. This very thing is going to come up again, and I will give due warning on that, because I think one of the great problems we have in our society, and we have all this technology, of course, that's happened in the last several decades. We have the internet now. There is a lot less personal interaction, and now a lot of human interaction is impersonal, meaning that it's without the human factor injected into it. We see text written on a paper, or we see text on a screen rather, and that has caused us, I think, sometimes to forget what is actually going on when we're interacting with people. The sense of community has become virtual, and through that virtual factor, I think there is a loss of compassion and sensitivity to the fact that we're dealing with real people, that we're dealing with real persons who have feelings and who hurt and things of that nature. What do you think about that, Kim?
Yeah, I'm kind of an introvert, so I ever was.
She loves texting was a great invention for her.
That's the greatest invention to me, and I love spending time by myself. So, but I can understand how it is helpful to actually be around real people and to talk to people.
Right.
Especially now with what we're going through. When I go to work, it actually is a good time mentally for me. So yeah. I can agree with that.
All right. And so we're going to see some of these slides here, folks. And again, this is to help us to get a real idea of what's going on. So let's start with the first one up. So this here is Kray James. You can see on the screen here, there he is sitting in his little Gap outfit. And he's 3 years old. And you can see on the screen here, I'll read it for you. On Saturday night, June 20th, at about 6:25, Kray was riding with his 27-year-old father in his dad's SUV on North Central Avenue in Chicago. Someone pulled behind the SUV and fired multiple rounds at it. Kray was shot in the back. His father rushed him to West Suburban Medical Center in Oak Park, where Kray was pronounced dead. As you can see here, he was 3 years old. Now, folks, this was June 20th. Okay. This was, we're looking at what, roughly a little more, about 3 to 4 weeks, 4 weeks after George Floyd died. And we know all the events that happened because of George Floyd. Now, I know people are upset about other people bringing up George Floyd's criminal history, and I agree. Listen to me carefully. I agree. George Floyd's criminal history has nothing to do about how he was treated in that moment. What Derek Chauvin did to him was wrong, regardless of George Floyd's history. I get that. But let's consider this here. Here's Kray James. You see this little boy. You tell me the innocence that this boy would have, and what kind of justice would a boy like this deserve, who gets a bullet in his back from some random person doesn't even know who he is. And as far as we know, the bullets were intended for his dad. But this boy suffered a shot in the back and is now dead. 3-year-old kid. Why are people not storming the streets of his neighborhood and saying where, I'm not, now in some of these cases, let me make this clear. Some of these cases, there have been arrests made. Some of these cases, there is still not an arrest been made yet. So they don't know. But what's going on that this would happen, and this boy, a 3-year-old boy, has to sit here and be worried? And this is not a police officer that shot him. This was someone in the community there that shot him in the back. And here's someone's life who was lost.
Yeah.
Did you have, I'll stop there. Did you want to say something, or did we move on to the next one?
Yeah.
Okay. You sure?
Yeah.
So here is Sincere Gaston, or Gaston, I guess, I don't know if it's Gaston or whatever, but Sincere Gaston. So you can see here, this little boy, see that little picture of him holding his bottle, a year and 8 months old. Shortly after 2 p.m. on Saturday, June 27th, this was a week later after the one we just read, Sincere Gaston and his 22-year-old mom were headed home from the laundromat in the Englewood area of Chicago. Sincere was in his car seat in the back of the car while his mother drove. As they were driving through an intersection, a car suddenly pulled up alongside them and someone fired 7 to 8 shots into their vehicle. Sincere's mother was grazed in the head, and Sincere sustained a gunshot to the chest. His mother drove him to St. Bernard Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. And as you can see, he was only a year and 8 months old. Wasn't even quite 2 years old. And this boy was shot. This was 1 week later, folks. Just a week after the one we just read, 3-year-old Kray James. This is 1 week later. Now we have this. This is, by the way, in the same city. And you can see.
This is where? Oh,
the Englewood area of Chicago. Yeah, this is in Chicago. Remember?
I don't
this
hear
is
anything about this stuff.
I know. If you do, it's fringe treatment.
Yeah, it's not nearly as prevalent
Right.
in the media.
Look at the people who are like, "Oh, I'm willing to go get arrested now, so I can make people know that I'm not a racist against regarding George Floyd." Man, where are the people willing to take these risks and go these limits to help find out and help stop this stuff from going on? Why aren't these neighborhoods being flooded with protesters going on the street saying this mess is going to stop. We have a community of people who live here. And if you are, if you're found out to be stuff, we are going to report you immediately. We will not put up with this kind of behavior, period. Now, I know some people have said what? Well, there are programs that are being created to treat this in addition to Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, but apparently they're not doing a good job. I mean, look at this. I mean, it's still happening, and it's terrible. It's like, I just don't understand why this isn't on national news. Why the news stations aren't covering this like they're covering police brutality.
I know.
This is much more prevalent. This, to me, should be
exactly, folks.
A high priority issue.
Yeah, look at the picture, folks. Look at that kid. Look at him. I mean, how much more innocent does it get? And this kid died from a gunshot. And when George Floyd gets a knee on his neck, and rightly so, people should be upset. We can see how upset people are and how mad they are. But man, good night. Look at this little boy. He's gone. His mom is gone. They're just driving home from the laundromat. He wasn't even involved in any criminal activity when this occurred. Many of the cases where a black man has died from the hands of a police officer, there was some kind of altercation going on. This kid's just riding in the back. What can a kid that's almost 2 even begin to do that requires attention as far as him being a criminal in the eyes of the law? Nothing. Nothing at all. And this is what he gets. That's what he gets. That's the hand that was dealt to him. Let's keep going. Here's Natalia Wallace, 7-year-old girl. She was visiting her grandmother, who lives in the South Austin neighborhood of Chicago, for a 4th of July party. So now we're up to July 4th. So this is about roughly another week later. At 7:02 on the 4th of July evening, Natalia and other children were playing on the sidewalk in front of her grandmother's house when a vehicle pulled up in front of the house. A few men stepped out and fired guns in her direction, in Natalia's direction. She was struck in the forehead. She was rushed to Stroger Hospital, where she later died. 7 years old, people. Look at this. We're talking prepubescent children. They're getting struck by bullets. They're dying. Here's 3 in a roughly, I said the first one was June 20th. We're looking at 3 in a roughly 2-week period here in the same city. 3 little children, little kids shot. I mean, where's the mayor? I mean, I'll be like, this is insane, people. This is insanity. And folks, we're not even halfway through. Wait till we get to the end.
And this was all since...
This is all, but let's keep this in context. This has been since George Floyd. And of course, you have Rayshard Brooks, who occurred after George Floyd in Atlanta, right? And people are upset about that down there. Which again, I'm. By the way, let me make it clear: I have no problem with people, as the Constitution would say, the right of the people to peaceably assemble. That's fine, no problem with that. But look, this has happened since George Floyd has died. You have Mekhi James, you have Sincere Gaston, you have here Natalia Wallace. This is since George Floyd has died in Chicago. These little kids killed. Playing. You notice out there, one kid riding with his mom coming home from the laundromat. Mekhi James, what I said here, he was riding in the SUV with his dad. This little girl here playing on the sidewalk on the 4th of July. What are they doing?
Nothing.
Nothing.
They're not doing anything. They're just being children.
Right. They're being children.
And they can't even be safe in their own neighborhoods. It's like...
I know. But see how you're feeling right now? This is how people should be feeling. This is how all of us should be feeling. How you're feeling right now? I've had my moments at this point, like you are feeling right now, while I was putting this stuff together. Absolutely.
Yeah, this is my first time seeing these, or most of them. I think I've seen 1 or 2. But
you ready to move on then?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's Vernado Jones Jr. And any of these names I'm mispronouncing, my apologies. I'm doing the best I can with those, but Vernado Jones Jr. Now, I said later that night because this is July 4th with Natalia Wallace. Later that night, Vernado Jr., is about 3 hours later, he was at a street gathering on South Carpenter Street in Englewood. Now, You see this here. Sincere Gaston was heading home from the laundromat in the Inglewood area of Chicago. So this is a week later in that same area. Bernardo Jones Jr., 14 years old, was in a street gathering on South Carpenter Street. About 11:35, 4 men approached the gathering and began shooting, and they hit Bernardo in the back. He was later pronounced dead at Comer Children's Hospital. Along with Bernardo, 7 other people were shot. Among those 7, 2 of them were an 11 and a 15-year-old. They were shot in the ankle and the stomach, respectively. Additionally, of those 7, 3 others who were men, grown men, they died. So 8 people were shot altogether in this one incident. He's one of them, Bernardo Jones, 14-year-old. He died. 3 other grown men died. And then of the others that remained, 2 of them were an 11 and a 15-year-old who were hit. That's all in one incident, folks. One incident. Again, keeping in track. Now, this is the 4th one.
That's our nephew's age, isn't it?
Jordan?
Yeah, I'm trying not to say 14? The name.
Oh.
Huh? No.
So anyways, yes. Yeah, 14 years old though, folks. 14 years old. He died because of that incident there. Another shooting incident. Another shooting. When is it going to be when is the media? I'm angry at the media partly because why aren't they storing those areas with covering this stuff and blowing this stuff up across the nation and saying, y'all, look at the problem we got over here.
I'm upset
and this should be
people.
Anywhere. It's not really because it's Chicago. This should be, this is an example to show, everyone's so quick to see a man shot by an officer, which we're going to see in a later video. Those are actually rare incidents where a man is unjustly killed by an officer shooting him. That can be demonstrated, people. Hold your tongue on that and wait and hang. And if you're going to, give us a fair chance, hear us out and let us at least state it. But look at this here. Why is it? There's no reason why these kids should be dying like this. Yet what? They are.
It's almost like people are letting the media tell them what to be upset about. Because when I look on social media and I see people's timelines, I see things about police and police brutality and every little thing that an officer does wrong. It's all over social media. Mm-hmm. I never see this stuff. Yeah. I hardly ever see this stuff.
No.
And I feel like people don't even care. I feel like they don't care. I mean, they may say that they do, but
mm-hmm. It's like you said though. What are people being told is important. What are people being told to believe they should be considering as important versus not important? Folks have seen me say before. I'm largely a believer that groupthink is what's very prevalent in our society. Sheeple, as you've heard the term used. People follow after what others. They follow trends. They follow what other people are saying and believing because a lot of us, not condemning all people, but a lot of us are intellectually lazy. We just don't want to investigate. It's a lot easier just to say, hey, what do you think about this? Oh, okay, I guess that sounds good to me. I'll believe that too. Or people that we admire as friends and all that, we'll just go with what they say. But that's not always a sufficient source, people. And let me make one thing clear. As I've read these stories, there are people in the communities who are upset. Let me get that straight. I'm not, I don't want anyone to walk away with this idea as if I'm trying to say that like this boy here or this young lady or this boy, like they were shot and killed and not anyone at all around them even cares. That's not the point.
Yeah, the people in the community,
they're upset.
And that's who people need to be listening to.
Right.
I'm glad you said that because they're the ones who don't have a voice in this.
Yep. And
nobody's listening to them.
Right.
If you hear the parents of these kids, mm-hmm. that's what they're talking about.
Right.
They're like, you say Black Lives Matter, but what about our kids? Mm-hmm. What about our children? Mm-hmm. We don't mm-hmm. feel safe in our neighborhoods, and they're not talking about the police.
Right.
They're talking about this kind of thing here.
Exactly. And that's you got it. You got it. You said what basically I was going to say. And that's that the folks who live here, in these neighborhoods, they're saying we don't feel safe in our communities. Don't listen to the media who's telling you what? oh, you need to sit there and be terrified every time a police officer pulls you over. Now, there may be incidents where individuals have had bad times, but the police in general, and for us to just generalize that this community at large needs to be scared of this police force at large, folks, you're being told how you should view them. These people in this community here have told you from direct experience, we don't feel safe in our neighborhoods. And now I thought about grabbing a lot of those quotes, because almost every single one of these stories, when you see relatives of these children, their parents or so forth, their grandparents, making a comment, they are upset about the safety of their kids. And they say, they make these same comments as you said, we don't feel safe. Why is this going on in our neighborhoods? Those are the people, as you said, we need to be listening to. Because they have to live there every single day.
They don't even talk to these people, or they rarely talk to them. If they do an interview, you don't
the local
see
news
that plastered all over.
Right. The local news may interview them, but it's not going to make it across the nation like Georgia. How'd I know that Ahmaud Arbery got shot? It wasn't because I went and checked around Atlanta's or any of the news stations down there. I didn't go look at them. It was brought to me by some nationally syndicated network. Mm-hmm. That's how I heard about it. And why aren't they bringing this stuff out to here? And why isn't Black Lives Matter making a huge issue of these cases? Where's the concern on that? Let's move forward. I got some more here. Here is Lena Nunez. Lena Nunez is 10 years old. She's an American Indian. On the evening of June 27th, so now we're back to a week before, Lena and her 8-year-old cousin were sitting in the front room of her home on West Dickens Avenue, Chicago. At 9:40, there were members of a gang gathered outside her home. A member of a rival gang in an alleyway down the block fired several shots in the direction of her home towards the guys that were gathered outside of her street. A stray bullet broke through a window and struck her in the head. Her cousin, who was there in the living room with her, was also hit with glass shards as well. A few hours later, Lena here was pronounced dead at Stroger Hospital. And so here we go again. Like once again, you got some thug activity. Looks like a gang members were outside of her house and a rival gang was down the street. Mm-hmm. And these guys shot, but one guy shot bullets, he shot his gun towards these other guys. And she just, one bullet just went through her living room window and hit her, killed her. She's 10 years old. She's in her house. Man, if all of us can't even feel safe in our own home, of all the places we go to, there's no place like home, right? But is there really a place like home? Yeah, maybe the streets are like home. Because if you can't even go to your house and be safe, where are you going to go?
I know. That's supposed to be your safe place.
And where are you going to feel? Yeah, where are you going to go to have that comfort and solace that you should be able to have in your house?
Yeah, you have some of these kids, and we heard about, that have to sleep in the bathtub.
Oh, yeah.
They have to sleep in the bathtub.
Right, because the bathtub will provide a barrier against any bullets. Imagine having to lay your kids down. You think about that, folks. Imagine you have children. You think about your kids. Imagine having to lay them down in a tub every night and put blankets over them in a bathtub. Imagine how they would feel, or how you would feel in that situation. I mean, just think about that for a minute. Does that not just kind of rock you to your core to think about something has to be done immediately? Because if I'm laying my kid down in a bathtub, I'm not going to either A, I'm moving out of here, or B, something's going to stop right away. And of course, not everybody can just get up and move out. Mm-hmm. That's the problem. And some people are stuck. They have to deal with that mess. Or do they? If some of us, if we're able to act and do something and help out, maybe they don't have to live with that. Next one. Mm-hmm. Amaria Jones, 13 years old.
Oh, look at her. She's a pretty girl.
Mm-hmm. Very. Saturday, June 21st, in the South Austin neighborhood of Chicago, Amaria Jones was in the living room of her home showing her mother some dance moves she had learned. At 8:36, while she was dancing and her mother watching, a bullet pierced the window in the room, just like the previous story, went through a TV and hit Amaria in the right side of her neck. Amaria was rushed to Stroger Hospital, where she died a half hour later. Ironically, and listen to this, folks, there was a sign at her house hanging that said Chicago Lives Matter. And the bullet went through the sign to hit her in the neck. Now you talk about capturing the essence of all of what's going on here. That is it right there. The bullet went through a Chicago Lives Matter sign and hit her in the neck, folks. Amaria said, I believe it was her that said she wanted to be an attorney. That was her goal. She wanted to be an attorney. But here is a quote in the bottom corner there from her mother. Her mother says, they talk about the police killing our citizens. They're killing each other off. Our kids are not safe no more, period. You can't sit on your porch. You can't even be in your own house. You'll get killed. That's her mother, people. That's this girl's mother saying that. She says, the police isn't the problem. We can't even be safe in our own house. We can't sit in our own home without getting killed. You see that? She lives there. She's around all that. And she says, it's not so much the police killing us. They're killing each other off, is what he said. Or what she said, excuse me.
And these are the stories that need to start going viral.
Mm-hmm.
If we feel like us sharing all these stories about the George Floyd type situations, if that has helped people to be aware of certain things, why can't we share things like this? Make these stories go viral.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because it's like crickets when it comes to this stuff. Or it's like, don't bring that up right now. You know, what are you trying to say? You know, it's almost like people get defensive if you try to bring up stuff like this.
Yeah, and like you said before, well, when's a good time to bring this up then?
Yeah.
Should I wait 6 months to bring up this girl's death after she's dead and buried and gone? And, you know, the community outrage has, you know, whatever is said a little bit, then we'll bring it up. Okay.
Yeah, and it's just not the same. People try to act like it's that they care about this kind of thing, but they don't. I'm sorry. This is frustrating looking at these. It's
mm-hmm.
I mean, it just makes you angry.
I hope it makes everybody seeing this angry. I hope all of us are angry watching this. I hope all of us are upset. Because it should. I mean, this is, you know, and when I look at Amaria, yeah, she's a member of the black community, but folks, this is a girl. She's an American, and she's a fellow human being. You know, I look at her as a human being like me, and I don't look at it as like, oh, well, look, you know, black people need to take care of this little girl. Look what happened to her. Everybody needs to be making efforts to help these kids from being killed. Mm-hmm. This is not just oh, well, that's on them kind of thing. No, forget that. That's not how this needs to be viewed. This needs to be looked at as human beings. We have failed our kids. We have failed them by not teaching them, by not educating them like they ought to be taught, by letting other members in our community go around and not, you know, well, like I met a moment ago, I was talking about the boy dancing on the corner. Mm-hmm. And the 12-year-old, was 11 or 12-year-old, the guy comes up and hits the kid, just knocks him right on the ground. And thankfully, and the kid was white, and the guy that hit him was black. And thankfully, the guy who was his dancing coach was with him was black, and he got up to help the kid. And that was good to see all that, you know?
Yeah.
And now they're saying they know who the guy is. And the last report I read was that the police were saying the family is not cooperating with police to help reveal where this guy is. And he's out there, you know, he struck the kid in the head, and the kid was in a hospital getting some treatment for that. But they know who he is. They got a warrant out for his arrest, the guy, but they don't know where he is, and they're not getting the help they need. We need to be turning these people in. We need to be saying, hey, yeah, you know what? I saw this guy over here, and this is where if you see suspicious behavior, I am totally against people calling in suspicious behavior to the police. Absolutely. What's wrong with that? I mean, what's wrong with saying, you know, if you see something that's not normal, folks, we know what, you know, generally know what suspicious behavior is.
Yeah.
What's wrong with reporting that?
I don't see anything wrong with reporting, especially, you know, when you have the children and the women in the community, they want to feel safe. I mean, I think that's one of the things that I hear a lot about these kind of things going on in communities like some of the neighborhoods in Chicago, is that the police can't get the people in the community to cooperate. Like, people who witness these homicides and things like that, they don't come forward, and they don't help the police. And I guess I can I understand that they're scared of retaliation and things like that, but I don't know what else can be done besides, I don't know. I mean, I've never had to live like this. I just can't imagine. But I know if I did, I would want somebody to come forward and say what happened.
Exactly. Were you going to bring something up, or did you want to
No,
go on the
go
next
ahead.
one?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the next. Let's go to the next one here, folks. So here's Devon McNeil. Excuse me. Devon is 11 years old. On the evening of July 4th, Devon McNeil was attending a Stop the Violence cookout, which his mother helped organize in the southeast side of Washington, D.C. Devon's family had a reputation of participating, and they do have a reputation of participating in community service programs designed to promote safety in their local community, which is really cool. I saw pictures of his grandparents, and they have like their little shirts on, and the granddad had like a beret on, all that. It looked really cool. It's like, hey, they're not, licensed office or, state issued police officers or anything like that, or city or officers, but they're trying to do something at least on a local level and saying, we want to promote safety. It's like, that's the kind of thing. I'm like, yes, this is great. Good for y'all. Well, he was in a family like that. And in his, or one night rather, on the 4th, as you can see, the 4th of July, at a cookout, that had to do with Stop the Violence, as it was called. At one point, his phone died, his cell phone. So his mom takes him to his nearby auntie's house to get his charger. And so he gets to the house, they pull up to the curb, and he jumps out of the car to run into the house. As he's running from the car to the house, someone down the street shoots their gun multiple times, and a bullet comes out, hits Devon right in the head. Kid's just running into the house to get his phone charger. And he gets to get shot in the head. Mm-hmm. You know what they said Devon was telling, what his mom said she told that he would tell her? He said his dream was to go to the NFL so he could buy his mother the biggest house he could find. Wow. And now he can never have that chance. Yeah, that'll never happen now. That'll never happen. Because I guess somebody felt the need to fire their gun down the street. And they believe that was that they believe the gunshot had to do with neighborhood beef. They said, just as we heard, thugging and gangbanging, as they say,
Yeah, I'm in shock right now. I'm just looking at. I mean, I know this is happening, but to see names and faces, and
I know it makes a difference.
Details,
exactly.
It does make a difference.
Yep, it does. And folks, I won't forget these names. I'm walking around in these last, several days, and I'm like, I'll walk around up back and forth in the house and all that, and I can just pop off their names now. Of course, they're fresh on my head, but man, I can't forget this stuff.
And this is the truly innocent in society,
right?
I mean, they haven't done anything. They're just being children, running to get a charger, riding in the car, playing. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're not doing anything except being normal children. Mm-hmm. And they have to worry about being shot. I have no idea why people don't want to talk about this. Why people get so upset if you want to even bring it up.
Something's wrong.
What is bothering you that you don't want to discuss this? You want to put that away as like it's a side issue or something we could talk about later. It seems like it's never the right time to talk about this. It's never the right time for us to come together and figure out what can we do about this. I mean, but I guess we can keep moving in.
No, you're right. I'm with you 100%. I mean, if something doesn't deserve front center attention, if something like innocent children being killed, doing things children do.
Yeah.
If that doesn't deserve front and center attention, then I don't know.
There should never be a wrong time to bring this up.
So let's go to the next one. Here's Secoria Turner. People are very aware of this one. This one gained a little more attention, I will say, because this was down in Atlanta. Secoria Turner at 9:50 on July 4th. Secoria, her mom, and an adult male friend exited I-85 in Atlanta onto University Avenue in South Atlanta. They attempted to make a U-turn in the parking lot of All American Package Company when they were blocked by a group of armed men at the entrance. As they attempted to leave the parking lot, the men fired upon the vehicle, hitting it at least 8 times, including Secoria. She was rushed to the hospital where she later succumbed to her injuries. So kind of the idea here, as you can see, I kind of grabbed a little map, a little screenshot off of maps here. So here's I-85, right? They got off the highway here. I don't know which way they're coming from on 85, but either way, they got off on the University Avenue. They were heading over, and I guess they were trying to make a U-turn to go back. So they just wanted to pull. Here's All American Package Store. They wanted to just pull into the parking lot, U-turn around, I guess, and head back this way. And just they wanted, as they went to pull in, that's when these guys met them at the front of the parking lot, armed men. Now, what's interesting to note to the context of this situation is, folks, you see what's right across the street here? Wendy's. You know what that Wendy's is? That's the Wendy's where Rayshard Brooks was shot. There have been ongoing protests and even little memorials set up at this Wendy's. The chief of police in Atlanta made the statement that as protesters have been visiting this area frequently over the last several weeks, from time to time, the officers amongst the protesters, there would be, he says there was an underlying groups in the protesters who would start setting up illegal barricades in the street. And the police would have to go down there, clear it all out, and then go about their way. Then they would block it up again later on. Someone else would block it up, and they had to come back and block it up. And so what happened was, apparently, is that they turned into this parking lot to do U-turn when one of those illegal barricades was set up. And they ran into one of those. And the guys who were running the barricade, who were in control of it, just started shooting at them. And this young girl here was killed. That's what's going on. This statement here on the bottom is from her dad. You can see this. And that's actually his name is Sequoia. I guess that's just spelled differently, but that's the dad. And he said this and you can see this online. You can pull this video up.
I have seen that.
He said, they say Black Lives Matter. You killed your own. You killed your own this time just because of a barrier. They killed my baby because she crossed a barrier and made a U-turn. You killed a child. She didn't do nothing to nobody. Exactly what we've been saying. Mm-hmm. What did she do? Nothing. Sit in the back seat of a car?
And they don't even care who's in the car. It's just like,
this is our area. You're in our area. You're in our area. Blast them. Yeah, I'm like, are you serious? Yeah. What's going on that men have that kind of motivation to just open fire on a vehicle?
I don't know. I just wondered how they grew up. What kind of upbringing?
Oh yeah. I mean, do we think these are guys who are just
there? But
yeah. There's something going on with these persons shooting these guns. There is something that has been going on with these guys for a long time. You don't just one day just say, I work my job, I got a career, I got a wife and kid. Let me just go grab a gun and just shoot on some random car. I mean, people don't do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Something else is going on here. Something else is going on. And that's where I think we're going to get down to the cure of finding out how to solve this issue here. Is we have to dig deep into what's going on with people, that they are willing to do this. You want to go to the next one? So that was Sequoia Turner, 8 years old. Royta Giles Jr. After this, I have one more. Royta Giles Jr. Yeah, this guy here, this young guy, 8 years old. Royta was born in Houston, later moved to Birmingham, Alabama with his family. He had just completed the second grade and was an honor roll student. On July 3rd, Royta was standing in line with his mom, his stepdad, and two sisters, waiting to enter the Children's Place in the River Chase Galleria in Hoover, Alabama, which is like a huge mall, one of the biggest in the nation. And he's waiting there to get outfits for the holidays, July 3rd, so they're waiting to get like some July 4th outfits, right? So it says while in line, he's in the mall.
Inside the mall.
Right. While in line, an armed young man nearby got into a dispute with a group of men, which led to a gunfight. And after the shooting had ended, Royta was found lying on the floor with a gunshot to the head. And he was pronounced dead hours later. Man. He was an honor roll student, people. This kid was a smart kid. I mean, look at him. He looks happy there.
Mm-hmm. Look at him, just smiling.
Being a kid, like you're saying. Yeah. Being a kid. And he just hanging out at the mall, trying to get at a children's store, trying to get an outfit. And you got to worry about bullets? Where are you going to go, man? I mean, Where's the national coverage of this to make this a huge... This one was harder to find for me. This is, by the way, this is not Chicago, as y'all see. This is Birmingham, Alabama, by the way. Hoover's area around Alabama, around Birmingham, but yeah. But look at them. I mean, just look at them, folks. I mean, look at them and gone. Just like that. Let's look at one more. Jace Young. What a good shot of him, huh? A good picture there, right? 6 years old, Jace Young, on the night of July 4th. Jace was attending a birthday party in the Bayview district of, we're in San Francisco now, by the way. This is not Chicago. San Francisco, July 4th, he's at a birthday party. Later that night at 10:45, while he was watching fireworks with his sister, multiple shots were fired nearby, one of which hit him in the chest. And he was now taken to the hospital where he would later die from his injuries. 6 years old, watching fireworks with his sister. Look at that boy, man. I mean, isn't that...
I know. That's just like the
How do you not look at that and say...
That's how he should feel all the time. You shouldn't have to worry about something like this happening to your child.
Right.
That shouldn't be something that you're walking around worried about. I mean, you should be able to go outside and watch fireworks and not have to worry about your child getting shot in the chest.
I know. It's a birthday party. I mean, you had a birthday card. You had a birthday. He was one of four. He had three older siblings, and you're at a birthday party hanging outside with your sister, watching fireworks. I mean, I did that a lot growing up. Mm-hmm. Not birthday parties, of course, on 4th of July, but I was at events like that all the time. I never felt like my life was threatened. Why should a kid have to feel like his life is in danger? He may not have felt that. We don't know. But why should the parents have to worry about their kids being outside on something like that? Or being in the mall, or riding in the backseat of the car on the way home from the laundromat, or playing out on the sidewalk with other kids? Can't do that? Or how about this? Dancing in the living room, showing their mother a dance move they learned. And that's not even safe.
In your own home. In your own home.
I mean, do we really... Now, let me ask you this. Is this what we're seeing here? Is this the kind of stuff we see the police doing to black men in communities across the nation? No way. You don't see this stuff going on where men, especially men that are just doing things that they're supposed to be doing in life anyway, just get shot. Yeah. They're just getting shot down like that. Folks, this has all been since May 25th, since George Floyd. What you're looking at right here. This is 10 kids. 10. Right there. Look at them. And this is not all. But these 10 kids together, 81 years of life. You have a grandparent that's lived longer than that.
Yeah, I do.
And these 10 kids together, folks, are 81 years, the length of a adult man or adult woman, or average up there in the upper years. But we live that long now. But 10 kids together make that age limit. Look at that, folks, and let that soak in, and you stop and think for a moment. What kind of problems we got on our hand?
And can we now focus some attention on this, or is everybody going to be upset because you bring it up, which is ridiculous to me?
Yeah.
Why would you even be upset if somebody mentions this?
Why can't we address this and also address George Floyd? Yes, and also address Ahmaud Arbery and also Rayshard Brooks and all that? Why can't we talk about all of them? Why do we have to put so much emphasis on one demographic arrangement only? It seems like that is the primary thing. When that is, if you ask me, and if you look at the data, that is, and if you look at the moral status of what's going on, that is the lesser of the cases, of the lesser of the problems that's going on. These are innocent children.
I'm tired of everything having to be qualified. Let me qualify this with, I'm not saying we shouldn't talk about police brutality. Why can't this be an issue on its own without having to qualify it with, I'm not saying we shouldn't do this.
Right.
I mean, we shouldn't even have to do that.
Yeah,
this should be an issue that we can talk about without people getting upset for people bringing it up.
Right. If me talking about these children makes you think, oh, well, he must not really care about George Floyd, then there's something wrong. Your thinking is broken and fractured.
Yeah, that's what your mind goes to when you see this.
Right.
Or if somebody brings that up to you, your mind goes straight to, you must not care about police brutality. Why would you even think about that if somebody mentions this to you?
So let me play this real quick. This is Jace Young, the young. Let me just go back here real quick. The young boy that we saw here.
This is it's frustrating.
I hear you. Well, no, let it out.
I'm
People need to see this. They need to hear this. They need to see these kids and to hear their names, because, folks, this is how it's going to become a serious issue if we're forced to look at the humanity of it and not just look at words on a paper or words on a computer screen. This is what makes, of course, what they're seeing is words on a computer screen, but you're seeing the pictures of the kids. You're seeing their names here, and you're seeing things about who they are, about their life. This is going to help make it more real. And that's what it should be, because this is really going on in these neighborhoods. And now listen to this. I want you to listen to that boy's dad that we just saw. Jace Young, this one here. We're going to listen to his dad talk about, this is at the, I think this was like a news, like a press gathering about him, about his son, but just listen to what he says here.
I grew up in a different part of San Francisco. And my son grew up in a different part of San Francisco. He was different. His mama didn't care. Even when I didn't want to, I didn't care. We let Jace be Jace. Jace was different. My son was different. My son mattered. My son was gonna be somebody. I need everybody to understand that. I grew up in a...
So you see that? I had to hold back. I had to got choked up listening to him say that. And when I first heard that, I had to kind of like make sure I hear this so I don't lose control here while we're doing this. And I know you didn't, and that's fine. I'm here for that. But yeah, look at the hurt. Listen to this. This is the kid's dad. Listen to the hurt in his voice. How can you hear that and not hurt for this man and not hurt for this family? And especially, of course, Jace, because he's the one that suffered in this most of all. And, you know, I don't think at that moment, I mean, is the concern here at all anything about race or police? No. These kids are being killed, man. And going back to this, let me go this here because we got one more thing I want you to see. So what we're going to see here, folks, next, this is just in Chicago. And these are all the children, when I say children, these are all the people, including children, 17 years old and younger, who have died in Chicago since George Floyd died. Okay?
Okay.
So there's that there. This includes the ones that we just saw in that previous, all the ones we went through. I included in this list those kids that were in Chicago here. But look at the stats here. Like the first one, John Barba. You see that where he was killed, Garfield Ridge, killed by a shooting. Male, 16-year-old Hispanic, killed on May 27th, right? Then you go down the list, all the rest of them. But look at these kids. Look at the ages, 16, 16, 15, 17, 3, 13, 17, 16, 17. Look at these shooting, all the way down shooting. Look at that. Now check this out. This is the other one. That wasn't the whole list, people. There's 9 there, and there's 9 right here. Again, look at the ages. 1-year-old, 10, 15, 16, 14, 7, 1, 15, 17. These are all people who have died, by the way. They're dead. They are no longer with us. Again, look at the modes of death. Shooting. You got child abuse towards the bottom there. But these children, these young folks are being shot. They're being killed. And so you can see the date goes up to the 15th here. So we go back from May 27th to July 15th. These are the folks 17 and under who have died. 18 people.
This is in Chicago?
In Chicago, yes. In Chicago. 18. So this is
not nationwide. This is just
18. City. Yes. 18.
In one city in less than 2 months.
And we're going to look at this more next year. Or next year. We're going to look at this more. It's going to be a long time. We're going to look at this more in our next video. Because if you want to stop at this one, that's fine. But if you have some more.
I think
that's okay. So we'll look more in the next video, folks. But we're going to see that these 18 kids that died in Chicago since George Floyd's death are more in number than all the unarmed black men who were killed by police last year in the nation.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, what is the, I mean, as you said, do we ignore one and shift attention to the other? No. But we need to treat all of them with urgency and placing priority where it belongs. Because this is, like I said, this is 18 in, May, June, July, roughly almost 2 months. 18 in one location in the city there, in that city. Versus 13 on a national scale in 1 year at the hands of police officers, unarmed. As far as I know, none of these kids were, well, I don't know. I didn't check all the status of those all those stories. But the ones we saw, the 10 that we saw were unarmed. I know that.
Yeah, this should definitely be a priority.
Absolutely, it should be a priority. I agree. And so I hope this has helped us to kind of see the greater context of what's going on around us.
And think about what we can do individually to help this situation.
Absolutely. Because, man, I mean, this is continuing. I mean, I don't have any reason to think this is going to just stop now that just stop now. This is, folks, this is up till now.
Well, it's been going on. It's
right.
Not some brand new thing.
This has been going on, and it's going on up till the 15th is the last one I saw right there. And here we are, what's today, the 18th? And now, there's no reason to think this momentum here has slowed down. I don't know. I haven't seen it slow down. But can we do something to at least stop this, in our communities? I mean, there's got to be something that we can be doing about these things, reporting this stuff, letting this stuff be known to people, getting this information out. This should go, when the moment that 1-year-old kid was shot in the backseat of his car, that should have gone just nationwide. That should have been on the front page everywhere that, we got 1-year-olds being shot. Stuff like that needs to be known immediately. That's an urgent problem that is, a major issue amongst the people. That our children are dying at the hands of adults.
Yeah, you don't really. I mean, I've never seen protests for something like this. I haven't seen it. Maybe if somebody can let us know where something like that may be protested, I don't know. I wouldn't. I don't even know what to say right now. That may be a good place to stop.
Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and stop there for now. We'll just go ahead and move on to another video. Next time we'll talk more about police shootings as it relates to minorities and all that, and, being pulled over by the police officers and cops and all that. That'll be for the next video. But any other closing thoughts you have at this time?
No, just be safe out there.
Yeah, be safe and, be faithful Christian. That's the best thing we can recommend to people, is to be a faithful Christian. Be a servant to others, no matter who they are. You're a servant to others because they're a human being. That, all human beings are of equal value. And we need to make sure that every one of us, is treated like that. Nobody should be treating any individual from conception to death should not be treated in any way less than what they are, a being created in the image of God. And so it's our duty to make sure we stand up and to teach, to educate, and to, help protect the safety of his people as well. And so we'll stop there. I guess we're kind of worn out from this lesson for now.
Yeah. This was definitely...
I've been already kind of weary because of having to deal, when I learned about all this information as I was putting these slides together, it kind of hit me there. But I'm more, I got, some strength with it for this one, which I knew I needed to have, because I knew for you it would be, hitting you the first time, it might be kind of like, wow.
Yeah, this was a
the wow factor's kind of passed a little bit. But anyway, okay, well, we appreciate y'all watching. Stay tuned, and we're going to be putting up some more. And we got another video coming up here that's going to be on a different topic, but it's going to be pretty interesting. Not like this. It won't be anything to do with this, like kids and all that. No, this is much less sensitive than that, but it's going to be interesting. So stay tuned and have a great day. Take care.
Goodbye.